Tube stations across London will be closed this morning as members of the RMT are on strike. London Underground have advised people not to travel, warning of severe disruption across the network until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Our reporter Harry Lowe is at Waterloo. Morning.
Good morning. Yes, it's raining here, and I've got to say the Jubilee celebrations are well and truly over for the commuters at Waterloo Station. I'm surrounded by, I have to say, very orderly queues, something the Brits do very well. Lots of umbrellas, rain jackets, and many, many exasperated commuters because they've turned up. Many of them have had 4 days off. Many of them have enjoyed the celebrations, possibly a little bit too much. And they've come to the reality of another tube strike. This one, like in March, on a day where it's raining, but unlike in March, there are 4,000 on strike here as opposed to 10,000. So not the entire network down, but certainly almost the entirety of central London not operating. I've been chatting to some of those who were caught out a little earlier on. And how inconvenient is this?
We're heading for Namur in Belgium via Brussels on Eurostar. It's very inconvenient because we just arrived and we didn't know anything about it. So we probably should have done. We should have probably looked at our news, but we didn't realise it. So hopefully we can get a cab, but I imagine cabs are going to be very busy from here. So, yeah, thanks very much, London Transport.
Very inconvenient, especially after the Queen's Jubilee. All that was on my mind is the Queen's Jubilee, and I can't get to work to the hospital.
Where are you going and how late will this make you?
It's probably going to make me an hour's late, and I'm the only one there to do the reception work. So I don't even know which bus to get me to Harlesden. I've got to get to Harlesden and then a bus from there to the hospital.
Oh no, what time do you start and how late do you
8 o'clock. And my boss, I've already told him, so he's very understanding.
What would you normally do to get to work?
I normally go in the Bakerloo line to Harlesden and then a bus from Harlesden to Central Middlesex Hospital. Oh dear, good start to Monday.
We're trying to get to London Liverpool Street. It's not brilliant, but I'll try and find another way of getting there. But yeah, it's not a great start to our morning, I'm not going to lie. Never mind.
Where have you come from and how much longer will this add?
So we've come from Barnes, so probably at least another half an hour, I guess, maybe possibly more.
How inconvenient is that?
Well, yeah, it's not great, but...
Set this against the backdrop of an 8.4% pay rise for tube drivers, which is considerably better than most of the rest of those working in the public sector. Some NHS workers like the one, Joy, you heard there, teachers and civil servants, they're seeing the biggest fall in spending power for 20 years as pay struggles to keep up with the rising cost of living. And I've got to say their moods have not been brightened by developments this morning.
Yes, not surprising. Harry, thank you very much
Good
indeed.
morning. Harry Lowe first. Waterloo, is that where you are?
I've actually moved to Charing Cross, Eddie.
Oh, for goodness sake. Stay still, man. Stay still.
I couldn't be south of the river for any longer, honestly.
Right, so hold on a minute. That's a nice walk, actually, because you can see quite a lot in that walk. Lots and lots of people right in the heart of our city, where all the markers are taken from when you're heading to the smoke. What did you see, and how did you feel?
Well, it was very gloomy, actually. I couldn't see very far at all because of this thick, dank cloud that's hanging over London, and the rain stopped, so that makes it a little less unpleasant. But I've got to say, it's a bit of a come down, isn't it, after the 4 days of celebrations and general happiness. It's a real come down for me and for Londoners as well.
It's real life, though, isn't it? I mean, you know, in a way, you've beautifully summarised how I thought this weekend went. So I was here Thursdays, you know, we're doing Jason, we're doing the happy, clappy stuff. Rob's taking me off the roof. I've got to be careful because Rob's dodgy, wants to push me over. Looked at the aircraft going overhead. And we almost, Harry, took a break from real life. There was no war in Ukraine. There's no coronavirus with all the people up and down on the streets. There was no worry about the cost of living. Here was just a moment to take in all the beautiful happiness of whatever you wanted to celebrate. And today, back to life, back to reality. Yeah. So in terms of that, have their general demeanours been, uplifting, what's the sense?
I'd say they're downbeat, Eddie. They're not happy. Almost everybody completely unaware, caught them out. I suspect they've been off, and if they have, they've enjoyed it perhaps a little bit too much, and they didn't see it coming. Monday morning, 4 days off. What's this? I can't get a tube. And there were people travelling to Belgium who I spoke to earlier who were facing a much longer route to St Pancras. I spoke to an NHS worker. She said, I'm the only receptionist. I've got to be there at 8 o'clock. I usually take the Bakerloo line. I can't get there. I won't be there on time. I won't be able to see the patients and start processing them. And there were a couple of lads off to the zoo from Waterloo, would you believe? They couldn't make it either. I think people were kind of upset, and it was kind of interesting because the backdrop to this, you had the kind of hangover of the Jubilee. You had those big purple backdrops with the crowns on, and there were lots of flags and bunting up at Waterloo East when I took the train in this morning, because the railway is still serving stations like Waterloo and Charing Cross. And so you had this nod to what's been happening over the last few days. And then I look now, and I know that you took a black cab in this morning, Eddie, and there's a long queue outside Charing Cross for black cabs. I mean, as soon as they come, they're snapped up, and it's quite obvious that demand is outstripping supply. Of course, like you said in the back of your cab this morning, they're not moving very fast, and the general consensus from cab drivers on tube strike days is great, loads of business, but really hard to do it because you're not moving anywhere. And I've just walked out onto the road, the bus stop's thronging, and there's hardly anybody moving. It's just red traffic lights and 2 solid lines of traffic. Lots of cab drivers among them.
Let's do our public service bit then. What is this strike about, Harry?
Well, it's about jobs. It's not about pay, because Tube staff have had an 8.4% pay rise in April, so that's not an issue here. It's about jobs, and basically 600 of them that are not going to be filled, say Transport for London, and the RMT says that amounts to job cuts. There's also issues around pensions, and there's also issues around staffing patterns. There's a separate strike going on. It's described as action short of a strike. What does that mean in layman's terms? It means that they're not doing overtime. It means that they're not going to stay late past the end of their shift, a work to rule, if you like. So that's been going on separately and having a minor impact. But this one that we've had today from the 4,000 workers is the first in, I think it's 6 weeks worth of strikes. It takes us to middle of July. So this is going to continue unless the RMT union and Transport for London can come to the table. ACAS, the conciliation service, did say last week that they had some talks. Obviously, they weren't as constructive as you might have hoped because the tube stations are closed. But I suspect that people on both sides will be wanting a resolution to this, because obviously this means lost fares for Transport for London, not to mention huge inconvenience for Londoners. And I think the RMT union, from speaking to people today, aren't everybody's favourite people, as you might expect.
Well, yeah, and their members are losing money. It'd be interesting to see how this one turns out. I know not as many people, I think 90% of the service last time, 40% this time. Harry, I'll come back to you. Keep moving about for us, actually. Well, not give far us different... from Sarah. In fact, at Charing Cross, talking to people, is Harry Lowe. Have people been happy to talk to you, Harry?
Surprisingly, they have. I wonder if it's the yellow jacket or the red trousers, but they've been very amenable this morning, I must say. Very amenable.
It's always nice talking. That's Paddington Bear's colours, isn't it? You should talk to somebody who looks like they've got a sense of humour, who woke up really early and probably got dressed in the dark, Harry. So yeah. in terms, not as dank, it's a lovely word you gave me there, as it was earlier.
No, it's brightened up ever so slightly. I haven't moved, but I promise you I'll move for the next one. Too many news mouths to feed. But yes, people are slightly more optimistic. There are options for them here at Charing Cross. I'm at the bus stop. It's busy. There's quite a lot of 139s coming through, but they're almost all leaving full. In fact, this one that's just come in now, I mean, standing room only would be generous. They are crammed in like sardines. I'll be amazed if the bus driver lets anybody on before he lets people off, because there is not a spare seat on this bus. It's the same story to my right over at the taxi stand, and there are plenty of people queuing up there, including Philip, who's travelled in from Tunbridge Wells and Kent, and who I spoke to about half an hour ago.
I think there should be negotiation, arbitration, all those things. I don't know whether they've been tried, but I am upset about it.
And do you think, is it going to stop you from going about your business as you would normally?
No, my business is being retired, so I don't often go on these expeditions, but I've just chosen today to go and see my goddaughter in Reading. And
have you phoned ahead to tell them you're going to be late?
I haven't got a mobile telephone. it makes an impact.
Yes, a disappointment for Philip. I realise I should have offered to phone his goddaughter for him, shouldn't I?
So,
But I
hold on.
didn't.
No, Harry, stop. Stop. Harry, I like you. I do like you. You've come on, we've worked together, we've found scarves, you've gone to America, you've done the Jubilee line for me now, you're working us right. We've been through some stuff recently. I feel like I'm bonding with you, Harry, and we don't normally have that with telly people, but I feel like there's a special spirit within you. You're telling me you've gone out to do this reporting in a difficult time where it's raining, where people are unhappy, they didn't know about information, people have been caught out. You've spoken to this kind gentleman who is on his way to see somebody, his phone has run out, and you've interviewed him and you've immersed yourself and enjoyed his misery for public consumption, and you have not said to him, would you like to use my phone?
I did not. But do you know what I did do? I went on to Citymapper immediately and looked at the best option for him, and I said, you have two options. Here's what I would advise. Walk to Tottenham Court Road. Walk to Tottenham Court Road, take the Elizabeth line, one stop to Paddington, change and go Paddington to Reading on the Elizabeth line, which is running steady. Or you can take the 139 bus, which there was one due in 1 minute's time.
But you can't phone your daughter and tell her you're going to be late.
I'm afraid not, but he tucked his newspaper under his arm and went on his way, and he seemed quite happy with that. So,
tucking your newspaper under your arm is good riddance. Is good riddance. It means good riddance. Don't you understand the way we work in London, man? Tucking his newspaper means good riddance. Oh, that is funny. You know, you and I are going to laugh for a long time about that one. Unhelpful Harry. That's who I've just talked to there. No, they're doing a brilliant job. That's Harry. Who's at Charing Cross? At London Bridge now, I think, is Harry Lowe.
Hello, Eddie.
How are you? You've moved around quite a bit of London today, haven't you?
I have. You can take the boy out of South East London, but you can't take the South East London out the boy. And I can report long queues here, Eddie.
Right.
But not for the tube. They are queuing up for all that falafel because it's lunchtime.
Right, I know it's quite nice, that street market around here. So if my memory serves me rightly, you've done Charing Cross today, you've done Waterloo today. What's London Bridge like?
London Bridge is busy, actually. Of course, there's a very large, relatively recently rebuilt mainline station, so lots of Southeastern, Thameslink and Southern trains coming out of the National Rail section. But I've just come to one of the barriers here, and they are pulled across because there is nobody inside. I've gone to all 5 entrances, Eddie, just to check that nobody is at any of them, and they are indeed completely unstaffed. There are flashing signs at every one. This one says station closed owing to strike action, and that means that there's been quite a few people coming up to these barriers, scratching their heads and reading the signs that have been posted explaining what's going on. And I'm actually peering through the barriers now, and all you can see is a sea of red on the display board, talking of various disruptions. And there is not good news if you're trying to take the tube today. A very, very limited service on certain parts of the line, and not very many trains running at all, and no stations open in central London. At Waterloo this morning, I spoke to a few of those who were caught up and indeed caught out by this.
I think I'm going to catch a Santander bike and cycle over to Blackfriars.
Harry, I love what you do with your voice. Is your shift over now, then?
No, it's not. I'm going to be here for a couple more hours, so I may go and have a chat to one or two of these chaps in high-vis pink jackets who are working flat out to direct, or redirect, I should say, the passengers who have been put out by this. But maybe I'll go somewhere else. Maybe you pick somewhere for me and I'll go and check it out.
I'd send you far, far away. No, you done a great job. You just take it easy. Make sure you're safe. We'll lead you tomorrow morning, mate.
Now, our reporter Harry Lowe is at London Bridge Station and joins me now. Harry, what is the situation at London Bridge like at the moment?
Good afternoon. The shutters are drawn and the electronic display boards are flashing. Station closed owing to strike action. Somebody's actually just walked up to the barriers here, which are padlocked shut, and tried to force them open. They will not be successful in that endeavour. It's not been a great day for Londoners after, as you say, that 4-day celebration. It's been back to earth with a bump. Raining this morning, of course. Long queues for buses, particularly at Waterloo and Charing Cross stations where I was earlier. Here at London Bridge now, people are starting to commute home. Some of those who will have commuted in or attempted to commute in will have been notified of it. But of course, you're seeing a lot of leisure travellers as well this evening, and they are realising for the first time that the trains aren't running underground anyway.
And what have people been telling you today?
I've spoken to all manner of people, NHS key workers unable to get to work. I've spoken to people who were going to their first day in their new job who weren't able to get to work. But one of those leisure travellers that I was speaking to in the last half an hour was Stephen McCoy. He's travelled over from Northern Ireland. He was trying to go to see Queen at the O2 in Greenwich, southeast London. Originally, he was supposed to be going in June 2020. But, of course, the pandemic prevented him from doing that. So he's come over this time on Friday to enjoy the celebrations, and he was hoping to be going to the O2 Arena tonight.
I've had a great weekend. We come over on Friday. So I went to the mall and things like that there for the Saturday night party, whatever. It was good. Had a good weekend. It's not going to spoil anything, no. Even if I don't see Queen, because we were supposed to see Queen 2 years ago.
Is that who you're
and this is the tickets from 2 years ago because of COVID.
So who are you going to see tonight?
Queen. And then we're not going to see them at all. So we've made it to London because of COVID for 2 years. We couldn't come for 2 years, and we've come now. And it's just, we're not going to get to see them because of the tube strike.
Poor Stephen. Thank you, Harry, for joining me. Our reporter Harry Lowe at London Bridge Station.